listen to me then. I bet they feel me now. Don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money, talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but over my eyes, you have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn. Everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million base.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
welcome back.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
I'm here with a very, 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 very special guest. As you guys all know, when I pick talent to come on my channel, I don't go by the numbers, although this lady has the numbers. She has the following. I go by what's going to be interesting for my audience. If my audience is going to be entertained by this person, educated by this person, I need to have them on. Broken a lot of talent on this channel. Today, I'd like to welcome to you, Miss Lila Hart.
Thank you so much.
Lila, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I was really looking forward to this, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're very electric. That's, somebody asked me how to describe it. I would say electric, and magnifying at the same time. I walked into Alex's room, Alex's war. We were outside the film room where the theater was about to play, and you're wearing all red. You look very festive, and you just rolled up on me, and you're like, "Hey, who are you? You look important." I'm like, "I'm Hotep Jesus," and we met, and I thought that interaction said a lot about you, right? Because for me, I think you need to come out with a course on networking. I've never seen anybody network like you.
Aw.
Yeah, and I want to start there.
Well, I wanted to say I came up to you because you had some good energy and you had a great suit on. So that's what made me come up to you right away.
Thank you.
I was like, you do look important and you are important and you have those good energy and good vibes. So I was like, I want to talk to him. And so I'm so glad that I talked to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked to me as well. I had seen you around and I'm like, who is this person? Like on the internet and what. I'm like, who is this person? And I saw you and you walked up on me and I'm like, oh, cool. The interesting person's talking to me. And, it's very interesting because, I don't know the right word to use, but you have is disability the right word to use?
Yes, that is correct. Disability.
Okay. So you have a disability but you own it. People don't even own some of their own idiosyncrasies or, because we all have our own mental disorders. I believe everybody has a mental disorder, every single person, especially if you live in America, and we're trying to deal with that. But the little, somebody could have a pimple and they'd be way more insecure than you. I want to know, how did you come to have this confidence despite the disability?
Well, just to let your audience know, because, right here on the screen, I would look completely normal. People would have no idea that I have a disability or the fact that I'm 4'6". That's how tall I am. I'm 4'6". My disability is called spina bifida. I have spina bifida and scoliosis. It's a congenital birth defect. So when I was born, my parents had absolutely no idea that I was going to be born disabled. Spina bifida is basically like being born with a spinal cord injury, and no two cases of spina bifida are completely alike. That's why they call it the snowflake disability. So I was born with a hole in my back and I've had 12 major operations. They told my parents when I was born that I would probably never be able to walk, that I would have learning disabilities, and that there was a possibility that I could die before the age of 13. So luckily, I was born at Tripler Medical Hospital in Honolulu, Hawaii, because my dad served in the military. And I had these excellent military surgeons who performed my first operations on me. And my dad, he tells this story about, they were so nervous about me having this back surgery. I was like less than 6 months old. And he walked into the surgeon's office to meet the doctor who was going to perform the operation on me. And he saw on the surgeon's wall that it said that there's only, winning only matters in war and in surgery. And when he read that on the wall, he knew that everything was going to be okay and that I would be fine. And by the grace of God, I am able to walk. And, I've been able to accomplish a lot of great things in my life. I've surpassed the age of 13. I'm now 31 years old. I'm married. I do stand-up comedy. And, to answer your original question, Hotep, I really believe that comedy is what gave me my confidence, for a very long time. It's very funny to me. It's like people meet me and they say like, oh, they see the product of everything that's happened now, but they don't see the 13-year-old me that wanted to kill herself or cried in her room every night and, was asking God, like, why did you make me so ugly? Why would you do this to my body? So I always wanted to be a news anchor. And my degree is from Washington State University. I have a degree in broadcast productions with a minor in political science. In middle school and high school, I was always on the TV3 news thing, because behind a news desk, like sitting right here, you'd have no idea that I was 4'6" or that I walked with a limp, or, you don't see the disability. And I always wanted to hide it. And stand-up comedy is really what gave me the confidence to truly own it. And the first time that I went on stage and I made a joke about having spina bifida and talking about it, I felt this freedom, this absolute freedom, because as soon as I walked off stage, I got all this respect from people, and the thing I love about stand-up is that my disability doesn't hinder my ability to perform on stage, and the best comedy comes from truth. So as long as I'm truthful and honest with the audience, I'll be able to connect with them. And I think that's where it comes from.
That is golden, absolutely golden lesson. Our fears, I'm a stage performer as well. And I used to have stage fright. Like right now I'd be terrified. In fact, I had a flash of it the last time I was on a Joe Rogan. I just caught stage. It just came back. It was the first time in like a decade that came back. But diving into those fears brings about like a freedom, like owning your faults, right? Like I said before, I believe we all have personality faults. I have personality faults, and I dive right into them, I think that's golden. Now, at one point, I think this was college, you were crew?
In college, what?
When you were the rowboat sport?
Oh, yeah. So I was actually a collegiate athlete in college.
Yes.
I was a coxswain on the women's rowing team. So they actually recruited me. I remember I was just walking, and the coxswain is the small person that sits in the front of the row team. And we're not rowing, we're steering the boat, and we're shouting at the girls to get them to row faster. They can't, like, we're the ones that can see how much ahead or how much behind we are from the other boats. And you want the girls to just pay attention to you. Don't look at the other team, keep rowing. And I feel like, so I did that for a year. And I think that also helped my public speaking and confidence, because you're leading this team. And that was on the Snake River.
So
in Washington State.
Snake River in Washington. So let's walk through this. Right? Let's say I'm one of the girls and I'm rowing, right? What exactly would you be saying to me?
I would be screaming at you. Maybe just
okay. So I'm rowing.
Row faster.
I'm rowing right now, right? And I'm rowing, but I'm rowing too slow. Are you gonna be like, move it, bitch? Or
maybe I might, depending on the girl. Depending on what's going to get her to move faster. I'm like, don't look at the other boats. Look at me. Go fast. We're catching up,
Yeah. Damn.
And okay, this is what was really funny. At that time, so the weight minimum for the coxswain was 90 pounds, and I was only 75 at the time. So they had to add sandbags in our boat to make it fair for the other teams. And I was like, this is BS. Okay, I should be able to not have these sandbags in here. Like, we should be able to have this advantage.
Yeah. But nah, they said, no, you could have too much an advantage. Oh, wow, that's crazy. So did you know they had a minimum, or would they make the minimum for you?
No, that was their minimum that
Was
they
the
had.
minimum. Oh, okay.
But, just to go into my college experience, yeah, college was an interesting time for me because, you know, I've told this story many times, but I want to share it with your audience. When I was in college, I sorority rushed, and I wanted to be in a sorority so bad. You know what sororities are in the Greek system, and I really wanted to be part of a sorority, and I rushed my freshman year. And at the end of the week, there was no houses that wanted me, so I wasn't asked to be part of a house. And I always kind of felt that it was because of my disability. I always kind of had that like feeling, and I knew it. And then my senior year, this girl came up to me at a party, and she was crying, and she's filled with all this guilt. It was like a confessional moment. And she comes up to me and she was like, Lila, I just want you to know that none of the houses wanted you because we didn't want to be known as a house with a crippled girl. And I remember walking home that night, calling my mom, bawling my eyes out, and being like, I knew it. And, just really hating the fact that there's nothing I can do about this disability. And here I am getting judged for it. And the funny thing is when I was in Washington State University, there really wasn't any other disabled people. There definitely wasn't any other little people. So it wasn't until I moved to Los Angeles, and I met other little people, because I would go to do like background acting, and like I met other little people there. And it was so funny because in LA, I was the tall one. They're like, the tall one in the back, which is so funny. One of my best friends, her name is Sassy Cassie. She's the world's smallest stripper. She's 2'10", and she has a very specific kind of dwarfism that only 200 people in the world have. I met 6 people with that type of dwarfism. And then I introduced them.
2'10"?
2'10", yeah.
Wow, that's really small.
So, I just think that in my life, I've had so many different experiences meeting it. It was really like meeting other disabled people, because for a long time, like the word disabled itself was not something that I could say. Like I was really insecure about the word. I was really insecure about the word spina bifida. I was really insecure about the word midget, because these words made me feel uncomfortable. Like I remember the first time I went to a comedy show, or one of the first few comedy shows I went to, this comedian, Adam Ray, he was on stage talking about his midget friend, and it was his midget friend, Brad Williams, right? And I remember sitting there as an audience member, like, oh my God, he's talking about his midget friend. Everybody in here is going to think it's me. They're going to think he's talking about me, And after that show, my friend was like, you need to go up to him and you need to tell him that word really made you uncomfortable. And I told him, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, because clearly there's something going on with me internally where I'm taking this so damn personally, and he's a comedian, So 2 weeks later is when I started stand-up, which is kind of, funny. But
so let's talk about that M word, right? I saw you on some sort of special talking to I want to be safe here, other little people, and you were using the M word, midget, to liberate yourself. You're saying like, no, like we can use this word and make fun, and it's liberating ourselves. Could you explain that? And do you still think like that, or you like nah?
So that was in 2016. It was during my first year of stand-up. I got invited to be on an episode of Little Women LA. And Hotep, I was so excited to be on the show, because I remember watching these women when I was in college, and I was like so excited that I was going to get to perform my stand-up for them, right? So invited them to my show, and the episode was for them to watch my stand-up, and then I was going to get to meet the girls after. So I was thrilled. I remember right before I was going to get on stage, I remember thinking like, Lila, are you going to do your midget jokes. Like, are you going to say that on stage? And I remember right before I went on stage, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it because I believe in these jokes. These jokes are funny. I'm not here to offend anybody. These jokes, I believe in them. And if you truly believe in a joke, you should be able to do it in front of the people that it's supposedly going to offend the most. That's how you know it's a good joke. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do it in front of, for example, if you have a joke about people in a wheelchair or a person in a wheelchair, you should be able to do that joke in a room full of people in wheelchairs. It's a good joke if it will still hit. So I do my joke. And then after I get off stage, I'm about to go meet the girl.
Joke?
The joke was, let me think. Oh, here's a joke that this is a joke that people always come up to me and they're like, Lila, are you a midget? And I'm like, no, I'm Filipina. That was the joke.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the joke. And I go out to meet the girls and they were like, so Lila, you use the M word in your stand-up. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, are you serious? Like, is this a setup right now? Like, they were all coming at me and I was not prepared for that. I thought that in my mind, how it was going to go down was I was going to go out. They're going to be like, oh my God, we love you. You're hilarious. Can't wait for the next show. But it turned into this debate. And in that clip that you saw that was only about a minute long, it was actually an hour and a half conversation that they condensed down to 1 minute. And the one thing I am really proud of as a stand-up comedian is that I did not back down. I did not apologize for the joke. And that I did explain to them that, hey, these jokes are not meant to hurt your feelings. Okay. I'm using this word to take the power back from a word that used to hurt my feelings, Yeah. And this is my way in my journey to, liberate myself and find freedom from it. And so, we agreed to disagree. And I continued to use the joke and kind of elaborate into it and call myself the baddest midget bitch after that, So, and the thing that I find so funny about it, Hotep, is like, since I started doing that in my stand-up, nobody ever calls me that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I started calling myself that or started using it, it's just kind of like, and maybe it's because I'm not offended by it anymore, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, I remember when I was in college, I was walking down the street with my girlfriends. This drunk guy, he yells, oh my God, there's a midget over there. And my friends were furious. They were so angry about it. I was just like, whatever. But they were so upset about it, and it just kind of like, I think that the why people have strong feelings for the word is because it's not like someone's like, oh, that's a fine ass midget. Like, look at that sexy ass midget. No, it's like, oh, what a freak. You know what I'm saying? It's like, So for me, using it in my joke, I feel like, I kind of own it and it makes it not hurt anymore. And it's just, these are words.
Yeah. Real quick chat. Stop grifting. Hit the super chat. Drop some dollars in here. Also, $ Hotep Jesus on Cash App. We're talking to the Miss Lila Hart here. If you want to answer a question, make a comment, please do so. That reminds me of myself. Okay. Hotep at one point was a pejorative. Okay. People were like, oh, you dusty, ashy Hotep, right? And then we were like, all right, I'll just claim it, right? And it took the power away from them and gave me the power. So that's why I relate to that. But also I see some parallels here with what's happening in our society, politically, I guess, culturally, where people are just offended by everything. What are my pronouns? And, you didn't acknowledge this and you didn't acknowledge that and used the wrong term. Where are we going as a society right now? And is there any way to maybe turn it back? And how do we turn that back? Do we continue to, what I believe is do what you're doing, right? Like saying, No, I don't have to be offended by this word. In fact, I'm going to use this word and show you how I can take the power back. Is that the way through, or do you think like the United States is just going to keep going down this cultural Marxist path?
You know, I think that we need more people to stand up and speak up, and the fact that your show is having conversations like this is huge, and that's what's most important. And like you said, it's like I don't want to view myself as a victim. You know, like I might be disabled, I might be 4'6", you could call me a midget, whatever, but I'm not a victim. And I'm going to continue to live my life. And that's the beauty of stand-up comedy. Like, these are jokes. This is just a way to kind of take my experiences. And here's what comedy really is, okay? It's like time plus tragedy equals comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never thought when I was a kid, oh, I'm going to grow up and be a stand-up comedian. That was not in my thought process, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really sad about not being able to participate in PE. I was really sad about the fact that everybody else was getting taller and growing boobs and getting invited on dates. And here I am, I look like a first grader and I'm in the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? So I was... comedy for me is a way I take these difficult times in my life and then I share it on stage, and it's a way of healing to show other people, be like, look, if I can get through this hard time in my life, whatever you're going through, you can get to the other side of it. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. And I remember I had this moment my first year of stand-up. I was at the Hollywood Improv in Los Angeles. And I was just standing there full of gratitude thinking, I wouldn't change anything. I'm grateful for my disability. This is part of God's plan, is for me to be disabled so I could go on stage and help other people. And like you said, we all kind of go through different things. For me, it's just physical and you can see it. You know, you could see it, but everybody is struggling in their own way. And you know what else is very interesting to me, Hotep, what I think about disability? Like for me, disability and censorship go hand in hand. Disability is a lot like censorship. People don't really care until it's starting to happen to them.
Oh,
okay?
Yes.
Okay? Disability and censorship are like, because most people don't care unless it's happening to them.
Facts.
Oh, you can't get into the building. That sucks for you. Yeah, until you're the one in the wheelchair who can't get in, you know? And I think about this all the time. I was born disabled. I came into this world disabled. But if you live long enough, you will experience disability at some time in your life. Or it can happen at any moment. It can happen at any moment. I remember the first time I went to a disability event. This is part of what made me decide to like really own this and, you know, stop living my life and feeling sorry for myself. I was 21 years old and I went to an event called Life Rolls On. Okay. And it was in San Diego, California. And it's an event where they have all these mats and tarps on the beach, and a bunch of disabled people come out and they teach them how to surf. And I go out and I meet other people with spina bifida for the first time. And I meet children with spina bifida for the first time. And I remember going to the beach and there was this little girl named Lucy. She was this cutest little girl. She was sitting in the sand and she had spina bifida. And she was like, Lila, come to the water with me. And I'm like, yeah, let's go play. And she couldn't walk. She got on her hands and her knees and she's crawling in the sand. And I remember thinking, like, do I crawl with her? Do I get on my knees? Like, do I walk with her? What I do? And then I remember when I was a child, and I hated when people would like get on their knees to talk to me or make me feel their. I'm just gonna walk. And I played with her in the water. And after that experience, she was 7 years old. After that experience, I remember getting into my car, calling my mom, and being like, I am done feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to wear what I want to wear. If I want to wear skirts, if I want to wear dress, because I used to be really insecure about my legs because I have very skinny legs, because on my left leg, especially, I've had many surgeries on it. So it's literally like just the skin and bone on my left leg. And I have paralysis. So like the foot's like this. I can't move it up like at all. And I can't move my left toes. And I would always wear jeans or shorts when I went to the pool as a kid. Like I would wear these board shorts. I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing a bikini. And after that experience, I was like, no, like I need to just own this, because I would have loved when I was a kid if I would have met somebody else with spina bifida who just owned who they were. It would have helped me so much. And I was like, I can be that person for other people.
Yeah. So many lessons there, diving into what it is that you are. But I think it's a blessing, right? Especially because of this space that you're in now, politically. We would have had to pull up pictures and be like, we're exposing Lila. She was part of the sorority. She's in the Illuminati. Look at these pictures from college. So it's a good thing they didn't accept you in the sorority, because they'd have been calling you a Freemason. She's an agent. So, it's a good thing that you're a free agent. But I want to know, how did you end up in this space of, I guess, conservatism? Or were you ever a lefty, socialist, liberal, Democrat? Or were you always like, Marxism's bad and whatnot?
Okay, well, here's what's really interesting, just to go back to the sorority thing. I remember 2 years after I had graduated, I was working on my first desk job, and I saw this Good Morning America article that popped up where a sorority was being celebrated for allowing a woman with Down syndrome to be in their sorority. And so it's very interesting how the pendulum has swung, right? And I feel like I had just missed it in some ways, where it's I would have been the perfect poster child for them. But
yeah, they would use you for virtue signaling.
Right?
You probably been queen of the sorority.
So it's really funny to me that my degree is in political science, right? Because I never meant to get, I never meant to get into politics. I was doing stand-up. Things were going great from 2016 up until, the beginning of 2020. I'm doing stand-up in LA. Everything's going awesome. I meet my now husband. He was my boyfriend at the time. And we had a YouTube channel called Channel 310. You guys should check it out, where I had a show called Small Talk Live, which is basically Chelsea Handler, Johnny Carson. I would come out, I would do a 10-minute monologue, and then I would have 3 comedians plus a musician perform my show. And then they would come and sit and talk with me on the couch. And things were going fantastic. At the beginning of 2020, my show got sponsored by this Filipino restaurant in Los Angeles. And we did our 8th episode there, and it was great. But then 2020 happened and the restaurant gets shut down completely. And it was at this time that I was when the big pandemic came out, right? I remember being the only person wearing a mask at Costco the first week. Do you remember that week that they told everybody to donate the mask? I feel like people forget that. The fact that there was a 2-week period where they're donate your mask. You need to give your mask to healthcare workers. And we weren't supposed to be wearing them.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking oh no, you saying this is a bioweapon, this is kind of crazy. I'm gonna wear this mask, because I didn't know anything, what was going on. I was scared of shitless. I'm watching the news. I'm you're seeing people fall over in China dying. I'm this ain't good, and I ain't donating these masks. I'm gonna wear them, okay? And then after about a month, when they're no, now everybody has to wear them, I'm starting to feel something is off here. Something is weird. This is when, and I'm telling my boyfriend at the time about hey, we should look into this stuff. I'm I'm getting these kind of what would you call it? It's discernment, this spiritual discernment. And he was well, you need to explain this to me. And that's when we started watching Alex Jones. I started watching, and my husband now got so much more into it than me. So at one point, I'm the one that's wake up, and then he becomes so awake, and I'm okay, I'm here too. But we actually left Los Angeles because of how crazy the mandates got and all of that. I performed August 29, 2021 at the Ford Amphitheater in front of 800 people. It was the biggest show that I had done to date in my stand-up career. It was the one and only time that I did take a COVID test because they made me, because I was the only non-vacation person on the show. So they made me do that. And because I didn't want to, I was already like sketched out about all that stuff too. I didn't want to do any of that, but I was like, for this one show, I'll do it. And I had the best performance. It was an amazing time. 3 days later, I went to the Comedy Store on Sunset with my negative COVID test, all my paperwork with me, and I wasn't allowed into the Comedy Store. Okay. And here's what's so crazy about that. They said that this vacation was for, you know, to protect people like me, disabled people. Now you're not letting the disabled person who has a medical exemption into the building. And they told me that I could come back in 3 days after they processed my paperwork. And I'm like, well, I don't want you to have access to all my paperwork. It just seemed like so off. So I made this video where I talked about how I'm not allowed into the Comedy Store. And that is when I got connected with Chrissy Mayer. And she was the first comedian to have me on her podcast and kind of give me an outlet to talk about my experience and what had happened. And at this time, I felt like Anne Frank with my thoughts, you know, because I couldn't really like express how I was feeling. Like I watched all my friends around me totally just fall in line with all of this, not question wearing the mask, you know, and I had my breaking point at a Starbucks, okay, where I was like, I ain't wearing this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to wear this damn thing. And I remember I go to Starbucks with my friends. I'm wearing the mask. I'm about to order. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I take that shit off. And I order my drink. And I was like, look at me order my drink. She accepted my drink order. And I go, the lady's about to start making the drink. And then she looks at me and she's like, you need to put that mask back on. And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, would you rather I just get my money back or, you know, or I'm going to leave. Like, I'll just get my money back. And so she's like, yeah, you can get your money back. So I don't have the mask. I'm getting my money back. And this guy walks in and he has a mask on. Or no, he doesn't have a mask on. He's 6'2". He doesn't have a mask on and he's ordering his drink. And she is accepting his drink order. And I'm like, okay, so you're not picking on him, but you're picking on me. She looks at him and she's like, sir, put your mask on. And he does. And I was like, it's crazy. Do you guys not see how crazy this is? And I kind of break out into this speech. Remember, there was a woman with her child in the back.
Right there in the Starbucks?
Yes. And there was a woman back there. She was like cheering me on. But then this guy walks in. He has 2 masks. He's like, gets in my face. And he's like, you're the reason people are dying. You're killing people out here. And then another guy with the mask on was like, I run a business, you know, and this is just what we have to do. I'm like, this is Starbucks. Okay. No, we don't have to wear these things. I ain't wearing this anymore. And my girlfriend that was with me, she had her mask on. She was looking at me like I was all sorts of crazy. And I was like, I'm just not doing this anymore. And it was kind of at that moment where I could feel that something had like shifted in our friendship, because she was like, oh my God, Lila's crazy. Like, what is she doing? And I was like, no, I'm still going to get my drink. So we go to another coffee place. I walk in with no mask, order my drink. And I felt like, you know, I had won. But that was kind of like for me where I had to wake up to a lot of this stuff. And I realized other people around me weren't super waking up to it. So me and my husband moved out to Texas. And it's when we first got out here, I went through like a bit of a depression for the first year because I lost a lot of friends. And I lost a lot of fans. The first time that I went on the Blaze, I went on Elijah Schaefer's show and Sydney Watson's show that they had, You Are Here. I was their 4th guest. And they invited me on because they thought I was going to be this comedian, haha, because the night, 2 weeks before, they went to Hyenas and watched me and Chrissy perform. I was featuring for her, and that's how they met me. And they thought I was going to come on and be this like, haha, comedian. But when I got on the show, and I started telling my story, I mean, I turned into a crymeedian. I was crying the whole time because I knew that, like, I'm talking about all this stuff. I'm going to lose a lot of friends here. People are going to be very upset with me. And sure enough, I lost 6,000 fans on Instagram that day. I got all these messages from people telling me how horrible I was, about the fact that I'm killing people. Texas is a horrible place to be. And, that was painful. But the next day after my performance, after my interview on Elijah's show, he was like, Alex Jones is going to be our guest. And I was like, are you kidding me? So that's how me and my husband met Alex Jones for the first time, is that we came to the Blades, and he was the 5th guest on that show.
Whoa. All right. So there's a couple of things I want to unpack there. First of all, losing 6,000 fans. What did you say on this show that had them like, all right, I'm done with Lila Hart?
That I didn't believe in the mask mandates or the mandates at all, and that I think that we should all have freedom of choice.
Oh,
I didn't even go into like, some deeper stuff. I was just like, freedom of choice. We should have the freedom of choice. I didn't even say that, the vacation was killing people. I didn't even go that far yet.
Right.
So, which we all know is real. But it was just saying that I didn't believe in these mandates, and I didn't believe that we should be continuing to wear these masks.
And that upset him. Wow. When was this?
So this was in September of 2021. So imagine, this is a month after my big performance at the Ford Amphitheater, getting a standing ovation in front of 800 people on this amazing show. Now, a month later, losing 6,000 fans and pretty much being blacklisted from Hollywood.
Damn. I'm trying to do a timeline thing here. So I think the vid hits probably like March 2020. Everybody's frightened. 2 weeks to slow the spread. So 2021, we definitely have a lot of double maskers in 2021. That is true. Yeah. And then, so that's when you're like, yeah, I'm not down with the whole thing. And then 6,000. Okay. Wow. That's wild. How do you deal with that? Like, is that what led to your depression? Like,
Yeah, it was the fact that I'm like, okay, I just had this high of performing on this show, where that show that I did at the Ford Amphitheater, like I said, it was in front of 800 people, and it was such an amazing show. It was like performing in front of an entity, okay? Like the energy that I received back from the crowd. I was up for 3 days afterwards on an adrenaline rush and on a high of just like excitement, And so for then like a month later to be in Texas and to be sharing my views on everything, and for just my whole fan base to kind of like turn on me, and then the people who did support me were not very vocal about it, because they didn't want people to get on them. So I would get private messages like, "You're doing a great job, Lila," but like, I ain't gonna be posting about that. Good job, So that was really painful. And also what happened to me and my husband is that, so we move out to Texas, right? The original house that we were going to buy, the sellers lied on the seller's disclosure. So when we got to Texas, there was mold, termites, a room with 36 outlets. Okay. And we had brought in our 2 cats, our hamster, my 3 birds, and our bunny. Okay.
See, I got a zoo.
We had a whole zoo and 300 plants.
Oh my God. You got a zoo and a jungle.
2020 and 2021, I got really into gardening, like so massively into gardening. And so anyways, we're at this house. We have to realize, okay, like, no, we can't stay here. Like, we need to pull out of this deal. And we need to go now stay at a motel while we figure out where we're going to buy a house. So we have to go live in a Motel 6 for about 7 weeks. And I couldn't take my bunny with me or my birds. And I didn't know anybody out here. So I remember releasing my bunny into this backyard, like bawling my eyes out. Like, this is just getting sacrificed to God now. And this bunny's just, she didn't want to jump out of the cage. She looked so frightened. And I was like, girl, you got to go. Like, you can't come with us. Like, this is not good. And then our birds, 2 of them, I just let them go. And then our bird Barry, I brought him with us to the Motel 6. And one day the housekeeper came and she left the door open and he flew out. So now I just have the 2 cats and the hamster. And this is all during the time that I'm getting the interviews at the Blades, right? And we meet Alex Jones while we're living in a Motel 6 in Dallas. And after this, the funniest part was, we after the Alex Jones had his interview, he invited everybody out to dinner. at this nice steakhouse. And I remember like eating this steak next to Alex Jones, being like, we live in a Motel 6 and we're eating steak next to Alex Jones. I think everything's going to work out. Like everything is going to be fine. We did end up meeting an amazing realtor, Rondell the realtor, shout out, got us our redemption house. And, you know, now we're living in our beautiful home in Dallas. But I mean, it was rough. Like there was a lot of craziness that happened. But I say this, that God rewards bravery, that we just kept trusting. I just knew that we needed to be in Texas. We needed to be here. And to me, Alex Jones, within the first 2 weeks of getting here, the fact that I was able to get on a show with Chrissy Mayer, and the fact that she invited me out, and then Elijah Schaefer and Cindy Watson were in the audience there, and, you know, it all worked out. Like, it was, to me, that was God. And that, to me, that was like, even though all this craziness is happening and I'm losing all these animals and I'm losing my mind, I am in the right place and I just have to trust. So the most amazing thing, though, was the next time that I saw Alex Jones was at Alex's War. And this is when me and my husband had released our movie, American History of Voter Fraud. We released that on July 4th, 2022. Yeah, 2022. July 4th, 2022. We released our movie. And so the next time I saw him, I got to tell him, I was like, Alex, do you remember me? And he was like, of course I remember you. And I was like, I just want to tell you that me and my husband are so grateful for you and your bravery. You really inspired us. And we made this movie, American History of Voter Fraud. Would you please promote it and talk about it? And he absolutely did. And it was just such a moment, you know, because we had gone through so much. And then anyways, the movie is really what got me back on stage, because the movie did so well. First of all, the fact that it's still up on YouTube is a miracle. Okay, it's amazing. It's still up on YouTube. Yeah. And the movie led to interviews with Dinesh D'Souza. He had me on his show, and his daughter Danielle had me on her show. And, you know, I got to meet you. Now I'm on your amazing show. And that really led me to be able to get back on stage. And so I had to go through all of this, make a movie, and then I was able to get back to doing stand-up because I was completely blacklisted from Hollywood.
God is good. It's funny how, like, I went through times like that where, like, some of the worst things in my life are happening right at the same time. Some of the best things in my life are happening. Life is so funny like that. How cool is Alex Jones, though? And, like, down to earth, man.
So down to earth. So awesome. It's just like, to me, what was so wild is, like, me and my husband were watching him all the time in 2020. And actually, there was a moment where we were discussing, like, right before we were deciding to move to Texas, we're in our townhouse and we're watching Alex Jones. We hear, like, a bomb go off not that far away from us. And I'm like, yeah, we need to get out of here, because I lived in North Hollywood in a really cool neighborhood. By the time we were about to leave, there was always, like, a helicopter looking for somebody. There was all sorts of craziness going on. Yeah. I went to the nail salon to go. Okay, there was a nail salon within walking distance from my house. I couldn't walk there anymore because I went to the nail salon and this homeless man got completely naked in front of the nail salon shop. And I had to tell the lady that, oh no, it's like, you need to lock the door, like, this is not okay. And this girl is like, well, I'm from New York, and, you know, homeless people, like, this ain't nothing like it is in New York. And I'm like, girl, this ain't a competition. This is not normal. This is not normal behavior. And the fact that you're trying to brag about, like, the level of crazy that you were able to deal with, I'm like, I don't want to deal with any sort of crazy. I want this to be a safe place for people to go. Anyways, this social worker on a bike, he was in a yellow t-shirt because that's what they had patrolling the area, with social workers on bike, comes up and the naked homeless man punches him in the face, and this guy falls over. And that's when I had to call my husband. I'm like, you need to pick me up. I am not walking home from the nail salon anymore.
The dude got knocked out by a naked homeless man. Oh my God.
And it just became to the point where, like, here's what's really sad about what's happening in LA. Like, the homelessness and people just walking around naked, people just shoplifting, it just becomes so normalized and just so accepted. And so just like, oh, that's just the way that it is. When I got to Texas and I, like, the fact that I could just walk around in my neighborhood at night or ride my bike and, like, not feel afraid because people here, you know, they carry and they're not going to be messed with is just such a relief. I really also felt like when I moved out here, I kind of had to deal with some like PTSD from just the trauma of hiding my thoughts and not being able to speak and being afraid to say how I really felt about things. You know, I think that censorship, really the goal of it is to have people self-censor. And how much do we self-censor because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or, you know, it's really messed up. And I think that's also part of what the lockdowns did, is it separated people. It separated people because, you know, before that, you're meeting up with people at bars, you're at an open mic, you're talking about things, you're exchanging ideas. And with these lockdowns, it's like they could just do fear. Then they let you out a little bit and you're still so scared. And so people aren't speaking. So it's brave voices who are standing up like you and I, and the fact that you have this show and you invite guests on and we can talk about these things is what's so important. And we need to stand up because censorship is just like disability. It's coming for everybody. You might not think that it's happening to you today, but it could happen to you tomorrow, and it could happen to you at any moment. So that's why we need to stand up for everybody, that censorship is completely evil.
Yeah, we're definitely in some Orwellian times here. I want to do a rewind really fast and talk about your experience as a political science student. What university you said you went to?
Washington State University. Go Cougs.
Is that okay? So that's like upper left. That's above California, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Next to Canada.
Yeah. So what's the political environment there? Were you surrounded by lefties? Was it balanced? Was it conservative? What was that experience like?
You know, the funny thing is I feel like it wasn't even really like a thing that people talked about. We were just partying, you know, like it wasn't really like a.
Oh, the climate wasn't even hit like that yet.
No, it wasn't. And what's crazy to me is that there is because my husband's also a stand-up comedian. And in 2016, he was doing a lot of political stand-up, and that was like not a thing. Like people weren't really doing it. So it's crazy how the whole thing has shifted and everything has become so political. I never meant to get into politics like this, but I almost felt like I was forced to speak so that I could get back on stage and do what I love, which is stand up. And then it's funny to me that I graduated from college 10 years ago. This year will be 10 years. And how crazy is it that I kind of am doing what I went to school for? Look, I'm behind like a little news desk here.
Yeah.
You don't even know that I'm 4'6" back here. And I remember I had this professor when I was in college, my senior year, and I told him like my dream. I was like, I want to move to LA. I want to have my own show. And he was like, Lila, you and like 1,000 other people. And he was like, that's not going to happen. And we're leaving his classroom, like again, calling my mom.
Professor?
This professor, he like laughed at me and he was like, you're not going to do that. Like that doesn't happen. And, you know, screw him, because clearly everything all worked out.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around somebody who's responsible for students' future. You know, it seems like you're supposed to say, you know, you can do whatever you want to do in this world. That's, you know, isn't that, you're supposed to give words of encouragement. What class did he teach?
He was he was a political science professor. No, not a professor. He was my a journalism professor.
So the journalism professor is telling you that your journalistic dreams aren't going to come true? What?
Well, because I told him, I was like, I'm going to move to LA. Like, that's my plan. I'm moving to LA and I'm going to have my own show. And he was like, okay, like, let's tone it down, Lila. That's not how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
So here's the thing, though. I'm really grateful for all these people in my life who told me no, who told me I couldn't do something, you know, and it goes all the way back to when I was born, right? Like, I feel like when I look at my life that way, I think that every day truly is a gift, and that, you know, you should use these no's to fuel the fire within you to keep going.
Absolutely.
Because it's, you know, it makes success that much sweeter when you can prove all these doubters wrong. And at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to make it happen. You have to believe in yourself. And sometimes people say no because they themselves can't do it.
Exactly.
That's really what it's about.
That's what I was thinking about a professor. I'm like, he's just saying that because he didn't follow his dreams and now he's got to be a college professor. I want to talk about the silent majority, the type of people who applaud you in the DMs but don't say so publicly. So there's a couple of different aspects to this conversation. One of them being strategy, one of them being bravery, another one is being or lack of bravery. There's a real fear, of being ostracized for sharing your opinion. There's a real fear of losing friends and family. Do you think that more people should take those risks or stay in the shadows, so to speak?
If more people took the risk, we would not be in the position that we're in today at this moment. If more people stood up, if more people said no. It's the fact that people didn't say no. It's the fact that people went along with this, and it's like you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile, and you keep. But I truly do believe that things are turning around. I do believe in my heart that people are waking up and people are really getting sick of this, and that the truth and people are getting tired of this. People really are getting tired of it, but we got to encourage more people to stand up, and it's not too late. I don't think it's too late. And here's the thing too, if you took the vacation, okay, that's one thing. But if you took the vacation and you still are going around saying, oh, this is great and this is awesome, then no. I respect people who say, hey, I did this and it was a mistake. Hey, I did this and it was wrong. Like, own up to the fact that it is not right. It is killing people.
Yeah.
And we need to accept that. That like the fact that we're watching it happen on live television, people just, collapsing and all that stuff happening. And we're just like, oh, you know what? Having a heart attack in your 30s isn't normal. I don't care how many articles they want to write about climate change is causing all this stuff. I don't know. I'm not buying it. It's not normal. No.
Yeah. How do you give them advice? They're obviously scared. They obviously have a real fear. Is there some sort of strategy that they can employ to come out? It's crazy that I'm even saying it. It feels like, you're coming out as gay, you're coming out of the closet or something like that. Like, hey guys, guess what? I didn't take the vacation. And, it's that's kind of weird. Is there a strategy you think they should employ, or do you think that they should just, it's like swimming, right? The water's cold and just jump right in, right? Is that strategy?
Absolutely.
Or yeah?
No, jump right in. We don't have much time. You need to jump in. You need to jump in now. What do you mean? We can't just slowly do this. You have to jump in. And here's another thing too, Hotep. A lot of people really didn't get the vacation. They had fake little cards. Okay, they did not. They did not. I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of stand-up comedians that I personally know did not. But they went along with this stuff so that they could get on stage. And that for me was the worst part, is that I called a lot of comedians out on this and the fact that they had fakies. And I had a lot of people in my comments, especially a lot of disabled people too, who wrote back, Lila, I never wanted to get the vacation. The only reason I did it is because I wanted to go to this concert. I didn't want to, but I wanted to see this comedian perform on stage. And I'm like, how dare you guys do this to your audience who trust you, who love you, who look up to you? It is one thing if you really believed in it and you were like, I am down with this vacation and this vacation is dope and we should all go on vacation. But to be like, yeah, vacation, I ain't doing that. I ain't really. And behind the scenes, that's not okay. And that's the part that makes me sick. And also, I got a lot of flack too when Justin Bieber, when the thing came out with Justin Bieber, I was posting all this stuff about him on Twitter, and people were like, oh my God, Lila, that's so mean. How could you be so mean? I'm like, first of all, I've been disabled my whole life. Welcome to the team, Justin Bieber. Okay. I'm supposed to feel bad for somebody who's just joining the team. Y'all don't feel bad for me. In fact, you tell me all the time, oh, Lila, you don't even seem disabled. You don't even look disabled. And I think a lot of people say that to me because it makes you feel better that, oh, I don't even look disabled. Because if you really thought about the fact that I'm disabled, yet I'm brave enough to speak about this, you realize you're a pussy. And you don't want to face that. So I am 4'6". I walk with a limp. My back is not straight. Yeah, I have a bigger backbone than most people. And it's time that you'll stand up and say no to this stuff. I don't know what you have to be afraid of. If you don't deal with any paralysis in your body, if you don't randomly like piss yourself, you have nothing to be sad about. You need to just say no to this tyranny, because it's literally it's destroying our country, and it's ruining the lives of so many people who fell into this, and who, like, that's what makes me the most sick is really it's the fake cards, because though everybody should have just said no. You didn't believe in it. Just say no.
Real quick, shout out to our people over on Rumble. Y'all see why I like Lila Hart. Like I said, freaking electric. So the fake cards, right? I know people who got the fakies. I'm a paranoid ass, right? I do not try to break the law in any way, because I'm like, I'm black, they gonna throw my black ass in jail, so I don't do nothing wrong. Okay. That's just how I'm brainwashed. Okay. It's how I'm conditioned. So I didn't bother getting a fakie, but you believe that getting a fakie is sort of making them complicit with the agenda. And you also mentioned that you're like sort of lying to your audience, because like you got the fakie, but your audience went and got the real thing just to come see you.
Yes, it's worse. It's worse. And you should feel responsible, actually, if you did that, because if you have a large following and you went and got a fakie and you persuaded a bunch of people to get it, that is sick.
Yeah.
And that is sad, because now more people are joining the disabled team that did not have to. Okay.
Yeah. That's
what's happening.
Yeah. So you don't throw them any bail. Like, I got to make a living. You're like, nah, you should have said no.
No. Yeah, exactly. You should have said no, because here's another thing too. It's like, even when I'm like watching like Netflix or like these new movies that come out, people like all excited about it. I'm like, you do realize that everybody that auditioned, everybody that's on set, all had to get the vacation. So if everybody that auditioned, everybody on set that had to get vacation, then you like cut out a bunch of people like myself who could not audition. And that's also why I have this like weird feeling about Hollywood. It's like, here I am in Dallas, right? And I'm doing stand-up comedy, and I meet all these comedians, and they're like, oh, I want to go to Hollywood and this and that. And it's like, I'll tell you this right now, if I would have went along with the vacation Hotep after my show, I would have a Netflix special. I would be on TV. I would be doing all of these things. I would be on red carpets with Joe Coy and all of them, because everybody that was on the show that I was on who went along with this, they went on to do those things. Okay. And I went on to move to Texas and to get blacklisted. So, and it's simply because I spoke out against this. If I would have gotten a fakie, if I would have promoted this, yeah, I'm sure I would have a ton of money, but I would lose my soul.
Wow. That's brave. That speaks volume about your character.
Thank you.
Wow. A lot of people would have took the fakie.
And you think about it to be like, oh, it's like the money and make a living and that. Yeah, but like, what is the money when you don't have your health, or like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have your health, or you're endangering other people's health. And I think that a lot of these people too who participate in this, they might look like they're happy online. They might look like they're happy on Instagram or this and that, but they go to bed at night knowing that they're lying to a whole bunch of people, and that doesn't feel good. And it's you and God knows the truth.
Yeah. Sometimes I think that part of the brain is just shut off, the empathy part. I think it's just shut off. I make a lot of jokes on this channel about, where I would compromise, AKA sell out. And I think the fakies is probably where I would have drawn the line. I'd have been like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna stop selling out right here, right? Because it's one thing to say, hey, all right, I'll say, the moon landing happening and Lee Harvey Oswald, shot Kennedy, whatever, fine. When you're dealing with people's health, now that's different, right? Because you could be like you said, you're responsible for a bunch of people who could possibly become disabled. So I got to take my hat off to you for that. I also think that the state of America right now has to do with a lack of masculinity.
Yes.
Are you seeing that same thing right now?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a lack of masculinity and the fact that a lot of women feel like they have to become the masculine and they can't rest in their feminine. A lot of women have a hard time, I feel like, they're like becoming the man that they want to date
What do you
in
mean?
a lot of ways. I just feel like there's a lot of women who are having a hard time finding a masculine man, so they're becoming the masculine man.
In what way are they becoming masculine? Is it like becoming a breadwinner, or are they like becoming construction workers, or is it more like?
I think it's more of like an attitude.
Okay.
It's more of like this attitude, and it like this lack of accountability and this. I feel like a lot of our men today, I feel like I mean I really feel for men.
Really?
Yeah. Like, okay, like when I'm at the grocery store, I always talk to everybody that's working there. I remember there was this guy and he was like an older man and he was pushing a trash can. Okay, he was working there. And I remember I talked to him and his like face lit up that I was talking to him. I was just saying hi, and his name was John. He had a little name tag. I'm like, hi John, how's your day going? It was good. And he like wanted to continue the conversation. He was like, do you have any pets? And I was like, yeah, I have 3 cats, Muffin, Cupcake, and Biscuit. And it was this great little conversation. I remember leaving the grocery store and thinking like, I bet I'm the only woman that's like talked to him all day. Like, I think that a lot of women don't understand that there are men who go their entire lives or like many months without interacting with people. Like they're just like invisible. Like as a woman, you can post a picture online and get like 100 comments saying like, you're beautiful. If you're feeling down about yourself, you just take a little quick selfie, 100 dudes be like, girl, you look good. As a man, a man can't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just like post a picture and people will just comment on it. So I think that a lot of women don't really like understand like the struggles of what men go through.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And so I just try to be nice to people and try to interact with people. I try to smile at people because I think like maybe I'm the only smile that they're going to get today. And if I can be that person that like uplifts them just for that moment to just keep going another day, I'll do it.
Do you think that dating's hard for men now, because of their invisibility and the power that social media has given women? Like I always use this thing, where it says everyone has this cup of attention. And, back in the day, a 6 acted like a 6, a 5 acted like a 5. And women had to actually leave the house to get their attention cup filled.
Yeah.
Right now, like when women leave the house, their attention cup's overflowing. Right. So when guys hit on them on the streets, they're like, oh, leave me alone, because they've already got their fill. So on the men's side of things, do you think because women, like you said, maybe becoming more masculine, more confident, that it's harder for a guy to date today?
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, like you heard that thing where they women are going for like the top 20% of men or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that statistic. And then I think that there's just this kind of like, everybody thinks that they're the best and that they deserve the best. And there's no like having to like look at yourself and see where you can like improve on you. It's more like I feel like a lot of dating has come to the point where like people aren't completely whole, or like some women aren't completely whole. So it's like, I need to date a guy that's 6'2", that makes $1 million a year to like make me feel good about myself, rather than going into it where they already feel good, they're already whole, and then they can look for a partner in that way. It's like their partner is like filling that void that you need to be a whole person on your own before you can find somebody.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. You definitely have to be a whole person. Otherwise, you'll be looking for another person to fill in those blanks, and nobody can really do that for you. Do you think the masculinity space is helpful now? I know we have this guy, Andrew Tate, and a lot of guys are saying, hey, he's top G, he's the savior, he's talking to men, and Jordan Peterson, I guess, might be in the same bucket. I don't know. How do you feel about, these types of individuals, or just the masculinity space as a whole? Do you think it's healthy what's happening in this space, or could it get better, or what?
I think that it's definitely helpful. I think that, there are certain ideas that they project about, especially about like working on yourself and focusing on yourself. And like, that is what's going to attract a woman, is like, you can't. So in some ways, there's a lot of ideas that I do agree with.
I blame the state of masculinity on men.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I believe it's a lack of fathers.
Yeah.
The state certainly hasn't helped much. Right. But like, I don't throw men bail. Right. Like, when you gave your heart out to them, I get that. But I'm like, bro, just hit the gym. Right. Like, hit the gym and beef up your bank account. And then 75% of your problems are taken care of right there.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
And I also believe that women should go for the top 20%. If she's a top 20% herself, right? Like, I don't think like you could just be a bum bitch, fat, lazy on the couch and like, oh, I want the top 20%. You can shoot for that. You ain't gonna get it.
I guess that was the point that I'm trying to make, is that like every woman is going for that regardless of where she is on working on herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, I do agree with you in that point that we should all be striving for the best, but also working on ourselves to become the best mates.
So in this same strain where we're talking about confidence and all this stuff, I see a huge explosion in operations. The boobs and the booty specifically. I think they call it a BBL, Brazilian butt lift. Where do you stand on this? Do you support women going out and getting these surgeries? Do you draw the line? For me, I'm like, all right, boobs, I get that. You can't necessarily work out and get boobs, but you can kind of work out and tighten your ass. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the BBLs. Are you one of those people like, yeah, if you want to do it, go ahead. And I know I might get you in trouble here, so be careful.
I just feel like people don't really think about like the long term, how it's going to endanger your health in the future. And I just feel like putting in that, like, we don't know what that stuff is, and it could spread to other parts of your organs, and I think it could just endanger your life, and it's not really worth it.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Here's my theory. I believe that at some point, and we might already be at that point, men won't be able to tell the difference between an organic woman and an organic male.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I can see that. I feel like a lot of like the surgeries that women are getting done kind of is starting to look a little bit transgender.
That part.
That's it. It's kind of looking very like exaggerated.
Yeah.
So, and it's all starting to kind of look the same. And
yes.
I think that, our like uniqueness is what we're getting away from. And it's becoming like, and also like a lot of the fillers and stuff, what people don't realize is it migrates and it can migrate to other parts of your face. And I think that's why like there's that like balloon effect, because it starts to fill up and you get more, but it's migrating.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff. But I feel like the women going to get these surgeries become camouflage for the T people.
Yeah. I can see that.
And that to me is scary because I saw a picture the other day and it said, these are all T people. And I'm like, they don't look like T people. They look like women who went to Colombia or Dominican Republic, wherever people get these surgeries. They went there and they came back with a new body. And I think, and I said this on Rogan, I think there's going to be an inflection point where men won't be able to tell the difference and they're going to go after plain looking women. And that's going to be like the new beauty standard.
Yeah, I do. That actually is a very good theory, and I could see that happening.
Yeah, because, you know, it only takes one mistake. You know, you take a woman home and all of a sudden you got your hand on a hammer. You're like, whoa, wait, that wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know. It gets really weird out here.
But I also feel like that's part of it. To me, I feel like it's part of like the agenda of them pushing that to separate man and woman from being together. Because when a man and a woman are together, there are amazing things that could happen. I would not be the woman I am today or have the success that I have today without my husband.
Yeah.
100%. You know, my husband, Eric Abenante, who is also the co-creator of our documentary films, I would not be the woman I am today without his leadership and his guidance. And just, I feel like I can truly rest in my feminine being with him. And I would not have been able to accomplish all the things I have without his support. So I think that's also what is happening in today's society is they don't want people to realize the magic of what could happen when a man and a woman truly team up and create a life together. It's better than a life that you could create on your own, you know? And I just like, I know there's a lot of things that I've accomplished by myself, but ever since being with my husband, we recently got married on 2/22/22.
Oh, congrats.
So we're about to celebrate our 1 year. I just know that I would not be the woman I am today without him. So I really like, my heart, I guess my heart goes out to a lot of men and women who are still searching and looking for their partner. And I feel like it's just so confusing in today's world where, like you said, you don't know we can't even describe what is a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like it's also confusing. People are getting all these different surgeries to look a certain way, to attract a certain type of guy or this or that. And I think, again, it really comes down to the fact that you have to learn to love yourself. It's like before I came on your show, I watched your video to Lead with Love, that meditation video. And it made me really think about what you said about like, we are all, as children, we all get wounded, right? And it's like that first kind of wound that happens to us. I think as adults, it's like we're trying to fill that void and that hurt. And if you can kind of get back to that place of like childlike wonder and childlike excitement, you know, you don't need all these surgeries and all of these different things. It's like, come back into yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Lead with Love. It really stemmed from dealing with my own. Because so really what happened was it was like I was looking at people who are afraid to jump into situations like yourself, being an entrepreneur, putting yourself out there. And then that led me to like the DSM. And then I'm reading the DSM and it's like everything's about stress and anxiety. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we all have mental disorders, right? And then I'm like thinking about, well, how these mental orders come about. And I'm like, oh, that's childhood. And I'm like, well, what were you like when you were a child? And I'm like, you were more trusting and, you know, da-da-da. And I'm like, that's what we kind of have to get back to. So that's where Lead with Love, but also it came to dealing with liberals and Democrats, right? Like they're emotional people. So because they're emotional people, you first have to recognize their emotions, acknowledge them, and lead with love. And once you sort of put love first, then we can get to the brain part of things. I think sometimes we ignore how they feel about situations.
Yeah.
And go straight to the brain work. Like Ben Shapiro says, you know, facts don't care about your feelings. Well, feelings don't care about your facts, right? So if you know somebody's emotional deal with their feelings. Let's say, hey, look, you have a legit concern.
Yeah.
We totally understand that people are suffering, whatever that may be. Now that we got that out the way, how do we solve the problem? Like, how do we really solve the problem? Like, let's remove the politics. How do we solve the problem? And then work through that. And I think we get a lot further. And I've had some great conversations with some Democrats. Most of them won't talk to me, but the ones that do, we've had some great conversations. And a lot of times I'm able to bring it to my side because, you know, we lead with love. Also on the topic of leading with love are the vacations. I saw a clip that blew me away from your documentary, I believe, on the WHO. And for me, I'm somebody who spent a decent amount of time studying the vacations before the pandemic. And then I had a debate with Lupe Fiasco, and I dove in even deeper at that point. Your film isn't even about really the mRNA. This is some childhood stuff. You want to talk about that? What's in that film?
So we talk a lot about Margaret Sanger, and I'm the voice. I voiced Margaret Sanger in the film, and we talk about Planned Parenthood and about how a lot of these vaccines have animal DNA in them. And
vacations. This is a travel channel. Welcome to the travel channel. You need your vaccination before you go on vacation. So,
it's really about like the hits, like a lot of these things that we've been told about how these vacations work are incorrect. And a lot of the things we've been told about Planned Parenthood and why it's available are actually incorrect, because Margaret Sanger, she created Planned Parenthood because she wanted to really exterminate the Black race. So that my husband is just filled with a lot of knowledge. He did extensive research and all of this stuff, really educated me a lot about things, because like I said, I just had that discernment feeling, like that spiritual feeling, like this is wrong, something's not right here, you know. And he is really the one that was able to put it in a way that it's like not just about feelings. He's like, here are the facts. And I think that's also why our movies are still up on YouTube, because it's all the facts are there. We use footage from all credited sources, and so it's hard to deny it when it's still up. And believe me, YouTube would love to be able to take it down, but they can't, because this is all factual. We have original documents, and we don't talk about the pandemic and all that stuff in the World Health Organization. It's more about like the history beforehand. And I think what makes it so powerful is that when you watch the beginning of the movie and you kind of see like everybody lining up and you see in the history, because when you're watching, you're like, this looks crazy. Why would they just do that? And then you're like, wait a second. People lined up for a free donut. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of shows that history is repeating itself. Look at all these people trusting, and then look at what happens. And we don't even have to say what's happening now in the movie. You just kind of take history and it's repeating itself. So.
Absolutely. That's why I tell people, they say, you know, Hotep, you seem to always be able to predict things. And I'm like, technically, I'm not predicting things. I'm just showing you what happened in the past. If you know what happened in the past, you can see what happens in the future. Swine flu pandemic of 1976. I always bring it up. Looks exactly like the last 2 years. Actually, not exactly like, but what's the question?
What was your like wake up moment in 2020?
Which wake up moment?
Like, did you from the beginning, like, how did you feel about when they were talking about everybody needs to wear masks and this? What was your like moment where you're like,
So, I was masking before there was a mask mandate, right? Because in January of 2020, I want to say, I was at CES consumer electronics show. And we were there with Wazo AI, wazoai.com. Everybody knows I'm involved in the AI company. We do camera vision analytics. So we're there showcasing our technology with Riley and Danny. And there was a lot of people from China there, a lot of people from Asia. This is tech, so you know they're going to be there. And as soon as I got back home off that plane, I was extremely fatigued. Like extremely fatigued. I've never felt like this a day in my life. And then when I went home, I just passed out, laid out. And I was like that for about 2 weeks, just completely hurt. Then the news hit and said, hey, there's this thing called COVID. And I'm like, oh, that's what I had. Now, I think it was February, I had to bury my grandma. So I had to get back on a plane. So I'm terrified. And at this point, I don't even think the announcement hit. I'm just wearing a mask because I was just sick. So I'm thinking like this mask is for me. And nobody's wearing a mask. It's just me.
Oh my gosh. I love that you had that moment too, where like you're the only one wearing it and no one else is.
Nobody else is wearing it. When I landed in Jamaica, customs was looking at me funny. Okay. Now, if you go to Jamaica now, they got all types of vacation mandates, mask mandates, all through customs. So I'm the only one from America to Jamaica and Jamaica and back wearing a mask. Right. And COVID has not been announced yet. Right. It's only been announced in Asia. I knew nothing about this stuff. And my dad's asking me, my mom's like, why are you wearing that thing? Why are you wearing it? Oh, you have no idea how sick I was. Then the thing gets announced. And they're like, yeah, we have to shut down. And I'm like, shut down? Now, I've done, a good amount of work on science in the body, healing, health, et cetera, et cetera. And I was looking at New York City, and I'm like, I don't think y'all going to be able to shut down New York City. Because y'all said y'all going to shut down, but I know for a fact my homies just went to the club. Y'all not shutting that down. Sure enough, they shut it down. Like, so I'm just watching at this point. Now, when they started with the ventilators, I know for a fact that ventilators are for people that are on their deathbed. You put people on them so family can come visit them before they pass. So I'm like, I don't think this is right. Then they got on Trump and said he's got to send more ventilators. I'm like, I don't think something's right. And I've always been suspicious of the hospital and how they treat people because I've had family members with bad experiences. So I had a flashback to an interview I had with Sister Samaya, still up on my channel. And I believe this is 2019 or early 2020. I can't remember. But in New Jersey, I was with her on my podcast. So 2 stories here. She's warning me and saying they're trying to pass legislation in New Jersey to stop vacation mandate or to stop vacation exemptions, specifically for children. Basically saying, you can just say, my child's going to be exempt. So all these moms are out protesting at the state capitol here in New Jersey. And Sister Samaya reached out to me and said, da. Now, again, I was an anti-vacationer, have been for at least, the previous 5 years, because I did the research. A lot of stuff was coming out about neurological disorders, et cetera, et cetera. Then Dr. Shiva hits me up, and I interviewed Dr. Shiva, and Dr. Shiva is talking about, hey, these vacations, bad, immune system, he's teaching me the adaptive system, the interferon system, all these different things about the immune system, gut health, this whole thing. So I'm getting educated on the immune system, Then the pandemic hits. So I just went through a situation where Dr. Shiva is warning us about the vacation. Sister Samaya is warning us about the legalities of vacation exemption. So I'm super woke. I'm super hip to what's going on. So when the government then said, we got to shut down the gym, that's when I said, oh, some bullshit. This is because I'm like, the gym's open, but McDonald's is open. The gym's closed, but Burger King's open. The gym's closed, but Walmart and Target are open, but my barbershop's not. I'm like, Now, I know a lot about herd immunity, and I'm like, your body, you kind of don't want to stay in the house. You want to go out and you want to get germs. You want to get bacteria on your skin. This is how your body builds up resistance. You don't want to stay locked up in the house. And they were telling people to stay locked up in the house. And I'm like, oh, shit. I see what's going on here. I knew about this swine flu pandemic of 1976s too, which turned out to be a huge nothing burger. And a lot of people got a huge payday because they were suggesting to go get the vacation, and people were coming down with something called Gilbert syndrome. So now they're disabled, et cetera, et cetera. So Hotep Nation, being the market I am, we started selling masks. We definitely sold masks. We're like, well, if everybody's got to wear a mask, wear a Hotep Nation mask, right?
Yeah.
Because that became big money at the time. I even did some product research into developing hand sanitizer. Didn't come out with our own hand sanitizer for whatever reasons. And then at some point, like, you had to like step back and like evaluate things. Yeah. So then we took the mask down because we were like, wait, this mask thing's like a whole agenda now.
Yeah.
Right. So we took the mask off our website. We're like, we're not longer going to sell masks because we see that they're going to try to make this a new normal.
Yeah.
So I stopped wearing a mask, and I started telling everybody around me, stop wearing masks. And the same people who were looking at me funny when I was the first one to wear a mask are now double masked up.
Yes.
So it was like this whole switch thing, So I brought Tanai on the channel. We did several symposiums with Tanai. He's an organic chemist. He's a professor in organic chemistry right now. I think University of Tennessee. So he came on and did a whole bunch of work and warnings. Like before the vacation was even out, he said, yo, this isn't going to turn out good. And he said exactly what was going to happen from a biological perspective with the clotting and all of that. Yes, he called it from the very beginning. So we had him. So we all knew, everybody in Hotep Nation, if you watch the channel, we all knew what was about to happen. So when the mandates for the vacation came out, that's not, it's like, all right, now we drawing a line right here. We've always been against them. I made sure my family didn't get them. And I had some family members that did go out and get them, some voluntary, some went out and got it because of their job. So it's for me, it's very scary because I have family members who are vacationed for various reasons, and everybody's like dropping dead. And I'm just like looking at my family like, all right, we got good genes. We'll be all right. You just keep telling yourself that. But that's basically, my story, all of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. First of all, I love the parallels of the fact that we both had those moments of being the only person wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. And then I remember when they like kind of lifted the mask mandate in LA, I was the only person, me and my husband were the only people in Trader Joe's not wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is going on? This man came up to my husband and he was like, we don't have to wear the mask. And he was like, no, you don't have to wear the mask. And where he took off his mask and he was like crying. Like people, it is so incredibly sad what this has done to people psychologically, because again, it's made people in fear. And then you have to think about, it's not just the vacations that are killing people. It's the fact that drug use is up, all these other things. It's suicide. Like my aunt passed away August 24th of 2021. She was a nurse for 20 years. And she actually died on a ventilator because she had a heroin overdose. Ooh. And I always think about the fact that the stress of the last year and a half being a nurse during this time and how that affected her. And for her to die that way, it was very traumatic for our family. And, it's just like in our film, we also talk about how all flu vacations are associated with neurological disorders since 1976. Okay, so I love that you touched on that you've been aware and awake for the last 5 years. You've already knew stuff was up. So I'm sure a lot of the things we talked about in our film, you have been aware of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think it's, people need to know this information. And also, and in regards to your family, I think that the human body is a very amazing. I do believe that we can heal ourselves. And I just think and pray that all the people that I know that took the vacation, I just hope that it was saline, you know, and
Yeah.
that's just what I tell myself, that it was saline. And then also that they have been trying to depopulate and kill people for a very, very long time, but the human body is very, very strong and we can heal ourselves in a lot of ways. I do believe in that. You know, I just think about even my own disability, and like I was told all these different things that I would not be able to do, but I truly believe it's because my mom, I have a Filipino mom and a dad from Louisiana, and they really just did not want to believe that. My mom did not want to believe that. She was like, she will walk, she will. And she, you know, she would always, I think that there is power within all of us. So I'm just so grateful to be able to have this conversation with you, and thank you for sharing all that with me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Lila Hart will be presenting at the Grifties this year.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I did a corporate gift. Am I allowed to say that?
Well, you kind of, it's too late now.
I'm sorry.
But
I was really excited.
no, it's all good. It's all good. Spoiler.
Oh, no. You guys tune in. You better watch. It's gonna be an amazing show.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's get into super chats real fast. Let me shout out my Cash Appers here. Arif Lita, Renee Vogel, Frida Darden. No, that's not right. Steph Colonel, appreciate y'all for the super chats. I mean the Cash Apps. We got super chats here. Drop a super chat in if you'd like to participate and support the channel. Cannon Hotep says salute. Lita fine. Lila's fine. Oh yeah. Danny Lynn, Blackburn, appreciate you. Steph Colonel.
That's my sister.
Is it?
Yeah. Thanks, sis.
Dope. Yeah, Lila's links are in the chat. I see the chats asking for her channel. Her links are in the chat, lilahart.com. Her YouTube is on there as well. I probably have to plug your YouTube in the description as well. But if you go to lilahart.com, all her stuff is right there. I like this, sometimes like if somebody doesn't have a website, I'll put their YouTube in the description. But I feel like we need to send people direct. So I like to put the web link in there so they go to you to get to YouTube, because I don't want to be promoting YouTube more than we have to, because they're just big enough as it is. Steph Colonel, he said, I concur with Cannon. He beat me to the punch. Hashtag Lila's fine. Oh yeah. Laughing Dog, thanks for being so good to one of our best girls. Not that I ever doubted HJ. Just respect. Yo, salute. No, I've been following Lila for a minute now. Like I said, we met last year in Texas. I think she's an amazing person. I did the Simcast with her. She was absolutely hilarious on the Simcast.
Oh, that was so fun.
Oh my God. I love the Simcast.
That was such a great episode. You guys have to check that out.
Yeah.
We had some funny moments.
That was classic.
You have to come back on the Simcast.
I'd love to.
We have to have you back. I'm gonna tell Chrissy.
Yeah,
we need to have you back.
I love that channel. I love Chrissy. I love the work she's done. I love the Simcast. The idea of the Simcast. I just love it all.
Yes, we gotta have you back.
I'm definitely coming back. Liz BC said, Lila, you're a badass comedian, documentarian, and American. Grateful for you, Hotep Nation, Chrissy Mayer, for introducing me to you. Stay blessed. Salute. Willie Handy, what up, bro? Uncle Hotep's cousin from another mother. Cannon said, Lila, do you think David Arnold was a victim of the vacation?
Yeah, I do.
Damn. Who's David Arnold?
He's a stand-up comedian.
Oh, is he? Ooh, yeah, what happened to him?
Yeah, he died.
Did he?
Yeah, and he was a hilarious comedian, very, very much loved in the stand-up comedy community. It is it's happening a lot. You know, you're starting to see more and more people. I feel like it's very heartbreaking again, because people are being taken too soon, and this is it's just so sad.
Yeah.
But this is why it's so important to have these conversations and for people to talk about it, and for people to, we gotta get out of the fear, and we have to start speaking up, because if more people speak, they can't stop us all.
Big facts. Steph Curry said, I violated my jobs testing mandate all 2022. No fakes over here. We are Hotep Nation. We are Legion. We do not comply. We do not submit. Expect us.
Yes.
Hold on. I got to hit him with one of these. Let him know, Steph. Let him know. Monkey Head 15, he said, Lila is crazy inspirational. Yes, she is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we go, I need some election predictions, where you stand. Are you rocking with Trump still? Or what? Where are we at with him? He's scaring me right now. He's talking about the vacation too much.
I'm actually running for president. Landslide Lila. Lila 2024. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Even if you don't vote for me, it's okay, because I'll just rig it and I'll win anyways. So
you're running?
Landslide Lila. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm running. Lila 2024, baby.
Oh, shit.
See me do stand up. You can see me talk about it on stage and watch American History of Voter Fraud. You watch my movie, you'll see how I feel about elections. You'll see all my information is on there, all my predictions. That movie predicts every election cycle. So watch American History of Voter Fraud and vote for Landslide Lila, Lila 2024. Me and Con.
So wait, what led to this decision to run?
I'm just running.
Just running.
I'm just running.
Landslide
Lila. Lila 2024.
You know what? It's a lot of the race. The race just got spicy. We got Ye, we got Trump. We don't know if Biden's. Now we got Lila's in the race. Damn, yo, I don't know who to support. I want to support you now.
Yeah, support me.
Damn.
Vote for me in your hearts, okay?
Hoteps for Lila. Oh man, hottest administration ever, says Lindsay H. Who's gonna be your running mate? Your husband, Eric, or Chrissy?
Yep. Maybe Chrissy.
Chrissy? Oh shit.
We'll see.
Damn.
I think we would do a great job.
Absolutely. Make sure you get all your legal situations handled.
I'll have you in my cabinet.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm down. Give me a job. I'm down.
Exactly.
I want to be in charge of finance or culture.
Yes. You could do both.
Okay. There you go. Make sure you get all your legal paperwork together. I don't want you to end up in jail for election fraud or nothing like that. Make sure
don't worry. I got all the election officials paid off, so I'll be winning.
Oh my Lord.
Kids vote for me. Dead people vote for me.
Oh man. Is the best place for people to follow you LilaHart.com, right?
Yes, sir.
And tell the people about your documentaries. What's the name of them?
So we actually have 4 documentaries that are out: American History of Voter Fraud, World Death Organization, 2 hours of Dick Gregory, and Up the Rivers, Joan Rivers documentary.
What are those two? Dick Gregory and Joan Rivers.
Dick Gregory, their documentary is about comedians.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When I think of Dick Gregory, sometimes I just forget he's a comedian, because sometimes he's just like going off. But yeah, it's definitely one of those classic comedians.
Check out the documentary. I voiced it. 2 hours of Dick.
Yo, your sexual content be killing me, yo. Oh man. And you host comedy at what do they call it? What's
well,
the name of it?
I do. You guys can see my tour dates on LilaHart.com, but I am going to be in San Diego at the Comedy Mic Drop featuring for Chrissy Mayer on February 24th and 25th. That's my next really big show. And you can also find me all over DFW, where I do host an open mic at TK's in Addison, and I'm at the House of Plano, and I'll be at Hyenas with Chrissy here soon. So a lot of fun stuff happening.
Absolutely. Fellas, if just in case you need some advice for dating, comedy shows are a great first date.
Yes.
You know, first date, second date, even if you've been with your girl forever, take her to a good comedy show. That never ever disappoints. You know, women love to laugh. It's a good primer if you ever want to have a good night with a woman. You always want to have her in a good mood, you know. So I definitely suggest checking out Lila Hart at one of her tour dates. So check out her tour dates. Take your girl to go see her.
Yes.
That's my
And vote for me.
advice. And vote Lila Hart. Lila, I appreciate you for coming on the channel. You have been absolutely adorable, absolutely amazing. I appreciate you. You have our support. And ladies and gentlemen, Grifties.com. Grifties are out this Thursday, the 26th. Grifties airs. So make sure you go check that out. Anticipation, Hotep Nation channel, youtube.com/Hotep Nation. It's going to air there. So we encourage you to go watch and subscribe over there. Featuring none other than Lila Hart. Ladies and gentlemen, this conversation will be in audio format on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So look out for that. My name is Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
And we're out of here. Hotep and Build.
Bye.
Didn't listen to me then, I bet they feel me now. Time don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. That's my money talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but over my eyes, you have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn, everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million.